That is quite the party composition. 2 rogues, 2 sorcerers, a bard, and a cleric. I love it. Welcome to the Twisted Pint Tavern. Today we're visiting r/D&D to hear about this insane comeback from a Nat 1 roll. And afterwards we'll check out a couple stories that were submitted in the Twisted Pint Tavern Discord server. My Nat 1 defeated the Mimic. I'm fairly new to D&D, and I just wanted to share my story about how a Nat 1 actually helped me win a combat. So we're 3 players plus a DM playing at level 3. We're a druid, me, a rogue, and a warlock, and we're looking for treasure in a mansion belonging to cultists. In one room, the rogue goes to a painting to check if it's worth stealing, only for it to be a mimic, and it and a few other monsters that were hidden attack. After a few rounds, it's just the mimic left, and we're all alive, but at very low health. The mimic has the warlock grappled, and it's my turn. Out of spell slots, I cast the cantrip Produce Flame. However, Nat 1. The DM explains how I miss so badly I shoot the fire up at the chandelier above us, and the rope holding it starts to burn. I use my movement to move out of the way, but suddenly think to ask, is it also above the others? The DM explains that yes, it's also over the rogue and warlock, and I suddenly had a brainwave. Aha, but if it's above the warlock, then it must be above the mimic as well, since it's currently grappling the warlock, you know. The DM confirms this, and next up is the rogue. I didn't even need to explain my idea. He ran out from underneath the chandelier and threw a dagger at the flaming rope. We held our breath as he rolled a 4, but with a modifier of +5, it's 9. Is it enough? After a small dramatic pause, the DM says just 2 words. That hits. The chandelier hits the mimic, and while it also damages the warlock, he takes less damage since the mimic partially shields him, even if inadvertently, and the mimic dies. We all survive the encounter. As a relatively new player, it was really fun to be able to turn my potentially disastrous dice roll into a win for the party. I'm definitely going to be remembering to take my environment into account for future combat. This is just a great story. I love this. It's a Nat 1. Yes, it's supposed to be the biggest failure of the failures you could have there, and yet it still turned into a good thing purely because of good roleplay, instincts, and good old-fashioned fun. Let's see what the comments have to say about this. Love this. This is how I like to DM. My players are the heroes. Even when everything is going tits up, there's a way for even the worst situation to show them in a great light. It has to have narrative credibility, but that's exactly what this is. Hang on to that DM. They sound like a dream. I agree. Rules lawyer here. Rope normally has an AC of 10. Your DM activated Rule 0, the rule of cool. The rule is as follows. If the thing would be more fun if you fudged the rules, then fudge the rules. Rule 0 supersedes all other rules. Sounds like you've got a good DM. You're in for a ton of fun. Rule 0, for those of you who don't know, is what people like to call that little excerpt at the start of the DMG that basically says, these rules are guidelines, do what you want to do, it's your game. Now concluding that story, we asked our Discord members about some Nat 1s and comeback stories that they could share, and here's what the tavern had to say. Don't forget to join our Discord because you might make it into the next video. The link is in the description. Okay, I got one amazing comeback coming to your table. We were playing in the Exandria setting on a quest from my patron, the Archfey Lady of my Warlock PC. After a long time of looking for the dungeon, we finally found it. Inside of it was a series of puzzles, hard and not so, a couple of fights, and then the boss room. A few hours later, we cleared all the puzzles, but after that, we're stuck in one place, trying to figure out what to do next. All of a sudden, the GM speaks. You hear a rumble from the main room. Who wants to go there? Everybody agrees, and we all storm to the entrance hall to find a multi-headed giant wolf who apparently can shoot cold rays from its head. It was a tough fight. There were 5 of us, but in the end, only my warlock was standing. We were brainstorming my every step. Move or not to, better to use some spell or just spam Eldritch Blast. It was intense. I was at 5 or 4 hit points, level 5 by the way, when I scored a critical hit with one of my blasts, but it was still alive, barely standing on its feet. The next attack was a miss. The GM uses this thing's last legendary action to attack me one more time and misses again. Then my turn comes up. I start to weigh my options, thinking that if I move 1 square, I'd be dead where I stand. So I use both of my Eldritch Blasts at point blank range to finish the boss. The dungeon began to collapse, and with all of my friends in either a bag of holding or at my shoulders, I ran outside. The end. There aren't many things in D&D that feel better than absolutely clutching out of a TPK with like 4 or 5 hit points. Like that kind of feeling, you just can't beat it. I have a great Nat 1 story that literally happened during the last D&D session. I'm playing a level 3 rogue, 4'11" high elf named Nazimef. The rest of the party consisted of a level 3 rogue tiefling, a level 3 sorcerer tabaxi, a level 3 sorcerer half-orc, a level 3 bard snake person, and a level 3 cleric foxfolk. That is quite the party composition. 2 rogues, 2 sorcerers, a bard, and a cleric. I love it. We were in a dungeon. Myself and the other rogue were rolling bad to find most traps. We came to a dead end, and both of us were looking for any sign of a secret room. I rolled a nat 1, playing it off as, I 100% believe there's a secret room there, but 100% have no clue if there actually is one. The other rogue, at the same time, rolled a nat 20, finding that there was indeed a secret room behind said wall. From the DM's perspective, it is so oddly frustrating and hilarious as a DM when your players are like, their minis are on the battle mat, and they move and they are literally touching the wall with the secret door that leads to the rest of the dungeon, and they're like, well, we don't know where to go, there's nothing here. It's like, yes you do, it's just right there. Someone roll well, please. So in a one-shot I ran today, the players were playing darts, and all 3 people, me and the 2 players, rolled nat 1s for throwing the darts. 3 people may or may not have lost an eye, and were rightfully mad. But then I had the paladin roll a charisma save to stop them from being mad. He promptly rolled a nat 20 and got like a 34 with modifiers. A bar fight was avoided, and we all laughed like crazy when we all got nat 1s. I would say shame on the paladin for breaking up a bar fight because they can be fun, but seeing as 3 people lost an eye, something tells me that would not be a standard bar fight. But anyway, with that, we're gonna wrap up the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Also, don't forget to hit that bell icon to be notified the second that the tavern releases another video, and speaking of the tavern, don't forget to join the Twisted Pint Tavern Discord server. Oh, by the way, watch your step on the way out by table 1. Someone rolled a nat 1 and dropped their drink.